I never expected a moment so small, so gentle, to break something open inside me. But that's exactly what happened the night my cat, Daisy, reached out her paw and touched my face as if she understood everything I couldn't bring myself to say. I didn't plan to talk about this, and honestly, I never thought I would. But her quiet little gesture changed me in a way I'm still trying to understand. If you stay with me through this story, maybe you'll see why that touch meant more than any words I could have heard from another human being. It started on a Thursday evening. One of those long, stretched thin days that feels heavy before it even really begins. Work had gone wrong in every possible direction. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages I didn't have the energy to answer, and I felt like I was carrying something inside my chest that I didn't even know how to name. Not sadness exactly, not fear exactly. Just a weight. A pressure that made breathing feel like work. I told myself I was fine, that it was just exhaustion, that everyone has days like this. But I knew it was more. I just didn't know how to explain it to anyone. The sun had already set by the time I got home, and the apartment was quiet in that way that makes the silence feel alive. Daisy usually ran to the door when she heard my keys, chirping her little greeting, rubbing her head against my shoes like she was claiming me back after the world borrowed me for too long. But that night, she didn't come running. I thought maybe she was sleeping. Honestly, I was grateful for it. I didn't feel like talking, even in the way we'd talked. Me with words, her with sounds and looks and head tilts that always seemed to land perfectly where my heart needed them. I dropped my bag on the floor, kicked off my shoes without caring where they fell, and walked straight to the couch. I didn't turn on any lights. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't even open the curtains. I just sat there, elbows on my knees, staring at nothing. I could feel something tightening in my throat, but I pushed it down. I didn't want to deal with any emotion. Not tonight. Not after a day that had left me feeling scraped out. I don't know how long I sat like that before I heard Daisy's soft steps. She always walked lightly, like she was trying not to disturb anything she didn't understand. She appeared from the hallway, blinking at me in that slow, meaningful way cats do when they're trying to show trust or maybe affection. Usually her blinks made me smile. That night, I barely reacted. She tilted her head at me once, twice, and then, without making a sound, she jumped onto the couch. She sat beside me, not in my lap, not leaning on me, just next to me, like she was giving me space but still refusing to leave me alone in that darkness. Her presence alone softened something inside me, but I still didn't say anything. I didn't pet her. I didn't even look at her. I felt cold inside, and I didn't want to pull her into it. Daisy slowly stood up and stepped closer. She moved so quietly I barely noticed until she was right in front of me, standing on her hind legs with her front paws resting gently on my knee. That finally made me look up. Her eyes were huge and reflective in the low light, full of something I couldn't read but somehow felt. I whispered, "Hey, girl," but my voice cracked halfway through. She blinked again, slowly, deliberately, and then she climbed into my lap. I almost stopped her. I didn't feel like I deserved comfort. I didn't even know why I felt so heavy. I didn't want to push that weight onto her. But Daisy didn't wait for permission. She walked across my lap, circled once, and then gently placed one of her paws on my chest, right over my heart. It wasn't a strong touch. It was light, almost hesitant, but it landed like it was carrying meaning. I felt my breath catch. My chest tightened. I didn't move. She stayed like that for a long moment, her paw resting exactly where the pressure inside me felt the worst. It was as if she could sense the storm swirling there, even though I hadn't said a word. Then she did something she had never done before. She reached up, leaned forward, and touched my face. Not with her claws, not with a playful pat. It was soft, almost intentional. She placed her paw against my cheek and held it there, looking straight into my eyes, and something inside me broke. Not in a painful way, but in the way a dam breaks when the water behind it has been waiting too long to be released. I felt tears building before I even noticed they were happening. I wasn't trying to hold them back anymore. I couldn't. Daisy didn't flinch when my breathing became uneven. She didn't move her paw away. She just stayed there, staring at me with a calmness that didn't belong to an animal who didn't understand emotions. It felt like she did. It truly felt like she understood everything I couldn't say out loud. I closed my eyes and let the tears fall. Daisy lowered her paw only when they touched her fur. Then she pressed her head into my chin, purring in a soft, steady rhythm that vibrated through me like a lullaby. That sound, that tiny vibration, melted everything I had been trying so hard to contain. I wrapped my arms around her gently, afraid to hold her too tight. She didn't pull away. She didn't wiggle. She just settled into the space between my arms, as if that was where she had been meant to be all along. I don't know how long we stayed like that. It could have been a minute or an hour. But eventually my breathing slowed. The tightness in my chest loosened. The darkness in the room didn't feel so heavy anymore. Daisy had grounded me in a way nothing else ever had. Not words, not advice, not distractions, just presence, just understanding. When I finally leaned back, she climbed up onto my stomach and looked at me again. Her eyes were half closed, peaceful, like she was telling me, "You're okay now." And for the first time all day, I felt like maybe she was right. I wiped my face and whispered, "How did you know?" She didn't answer, of course, but she nudged my chin with her nose and curled up on my lap, as if to say she wasn't going anywhere. That was the first night I realized Daisy wasn't just a pet. She wasn't just a companion. She was something deeper. Something I never expected to find in an animal. She sensed things in me I didn't even understand yet. And that gentle touch on my face was the beginning of understanding just how much she had been watching me, learning me, caring for me in ways I had been too distracted to see. But that was only the beginning. Because after that night, her behavior changed. Just a little at first, then in ways I couldn't ignore. She didn't just comfort me. She started reacting to things before I even realized they were happening. And the more I paid attention, the more I understood that she had been noticing patterns in me long before I ever noticed them myself. And it all started with that touch. That soft, quiet touch that felt like someone finally seeing me when I didn't know how to be seen. She didn't touch my face like that every day. In fact, she didn't do it again for weeks, but something in our dynamic shifted after that night. I started noticing how closely she watched me. Not in a clingy, demanding way. Daisy was never like that. But in a quiet, observant way, as if she had taken responsibility for understanding me better than I understood myself. And honestly, I didn't make it easy for her. I was the kind of person who always hid how I felt, even from the people closest to me. I didn't like to worry anyone. I didn't like to ask for help. I didn't even like to admit to myself when something was wrong. I filled my days with work and noise and distractions, so I wouldn't have to sit with emotions I couldn't quite name. But Daisy, she didn't get distracted. She didn't get fooled. She saw everything. Some mornings I woke up already tired, like I hadn't slept at all. I'd drag myself to the kitchen, trying to start my day like normal. And Daisy would sit on the counter, not meowing, not begging for food, just watching me with a look that made me feel like I was being silently checked on. Sometimes she'd reach her paw toward me, resting it on my arm for a moment, then withdrawing as if to say, "I'm here, I see you." Little gestures that shouldn't have meant so much. But they did. Then there were days when she followed me around the apartment, close, but not touching. When I sat at my desk for too long, she'd hop onto the chair behind me, pressing herself against my back like she was trying to prop me up without being intrusive. When I sat on the couch, staring blankly at my phone, she'd settle next to me and nudge the device away with her nose, as if she knew it was only making things worse. What amazed me most was how she could sense my emotions before I even processed them. One evening I came home irritated. Nothing dramatic had happened, just a buildup of stress that made everything feel harder than it should have. I didn't slam doors or drop things angrily. I didn't sigh loudly or mutter to myself. I didn't give any obvious sign that something was off. But Daisy knew. The moment I walked in, she trotted over, looked up at me, and immediately began rubbing her head against my legs, weaving between them like she was trying to ground me before I spiraled further. It was the kind of comfort no person ever managed to give me, mostly because I never let anyone get close enough to try. Daisy slipped through the cracks in my armor because she didn't ask for explanations. She didn't ask what was wrong or why I felt the way I did. She didn't expect words from me. She just adjusted herself according to the shape of my silence. And over time, I realized something. She wasn't just reacting to my mood. She was anticipating it. One morning stands out vividly. I woke earlier than usual, feeling a strange heaviness in my chest. Not sadness, not fear, just a sense that something was coming, like a wave I couldn't see yet, but could feel rushing toward me. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the floor. Daisy wasn't in the room. Normally she slept near my feet or curled by my side, but she wasn't there that morning. I didn't think much of it. I assumed she was in the living room or staring out the window like she sometimes did. I got up, walked to the bathroom, and started going through the motions of my routine, brushing my hair and trying to shake off that odd feeling. But it stayed. It lingered like a shadow behind my ribs. Then I walked into the hallway and saw her. She was sitting right outside the bathroom door, staring at me with an expression I can only describe as concerned. Her ears were slightly lowered, her body still. She didn't blink when I approached her. She just looked up and touched my leg gently with one paw, then turned and walked toward the bedroom. I followed her, unsure why. She jumped onto the bed, turned her body to face me, and placed her paw on my pillow, my spot. Then she looked at me expectantly. It was strange. She had never done that before. I hesitated, confused, but something in her behavior told me not to ignore her. I sat down beside her. She immediately crawled into my lap, pressed her body against mine, and began purring. Within minutes, that heaviness in my chest eased. I didn't know why. Maybe it was the warmth of her body, or the sound of her purrs, or the way she positioned herself exactly where I needed contact the most without me realizing it. But I suddenly felt calmer, as if she had stepped between me and whatever emotional wave had been coming. That was the morning I started believing, really believing, that Daisy sensed things before I did. And then it happened again. A few days later, I came home from work feeling fragile. Not upset, not angry, just fragile. The type of fragile where even a gentle word could send you crumbling. I walked into the living room, dropped my keys on the table, and let out a breath I had been holding for hours. Daisy appeared instantly, almost as if she'd been waiting just around the corner. She didn't jump on me or nudge me for attention. Instead, she sat down in front of me and lifted her paw slowly, very slowly, until it hovered near my hand. It was that same delicate motion she had used the night she touched my face. I froze, watching her. She kept her paw raised, waiting, so I lowered my hand. The moment I did, she placed her paw softly on top of it, not pushing, not tapping, just resting it there with a gentleness that hit me deeper than it should have. Her touch felt like permission. Permission to feel. Permission to stop pretending. Permission to be human, even if I didn't fully know how to. My throat tightened again, and tears pricked at the corners of my eyes. But this time they didn't fall. I blinked them back, inhaled slowly, and Daisy leaned in, touching my hand with her cheek. Then she crawled into my lap and curled into a tiny ball, as if creating a small space where it was safe for me to exist exactly as I was. That night, after she fell asleep beside me, I realized something important. Daisy wasn't trying to fix me. She wasn't trying to change me. She was simply showing me how to be gentle with myself, something I had forgotten long ago. Weeks passed, and our silent ritual continued. Daisy learned to read my breathing, my posture, my pacing, the way I held my shoulders when I was overwhelmed, or the way I avoided eye contact with my reflection when I was drained. She responded to each cue in ways I never expected from a cat. Sometimes she'd curl up beside me with her back pressed firmly against my arm, grounding me. Sometimes she'd lay across my lap to force me to stop tapping my foot anxiously. Sometimes she'd even chirp insistently until I followed her to the window, where the sunlight fell on the floor like a warm invitation to pause. One evening, I came home feeling more exhausted than usual. I wasn't crying, but my eyes burned like I had been holding something in all day. I sat on the floor beside the couch, leaning my back against it, and closed my eyes. The apartment was quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I didn't hear Daisy approach, but suddenly she was there, standing right in front of me. She stepped closer, placed her front paws on my knees, and looked into my face with that deep, knowing gaze. And then, just like that first night, she reached out and touched my cheek softly with her paw. And I broke. Not in a dramatic way. Not with sobs. Just a slow, steady release of everything I had been holding inside. Tears slid down my face silently, and Daisy didn't move her paw. She didn't look away. She didn't get startled. She stayed there, touching my face as if reminding me that I wasn't alone, that it was okay to feel, that I didn't have to pretend for her. Her presence was acceptance itself. I whispered, "Thank you," even though I knew she didn't need the words. My voice cracked, but she didn't flinch. She simply leaned in and rested her forehead against mine. That tiny gesture shattered whatever walls were left inside me. After that evening, I made myself a promise. I would stop trying to bury everything. I would let myself feel things when they came, instead of waiting for Daisy to notice before I acknowledged anything at all. She had been doing the work my heart should have been doing for itself. But the truth is, Daisy taught me how. She became my mirror, my comfort, my grounding point, my reminder that softness isn't weakness, that silence isn't emptiness. That healing doesn't always look like big breakthroughs. In fact, sometimes it looks like a tiny paw resting against your cheek on a night when you think no one can see you. And I know this might sound unbelievable to someone who has never experienced a bond like this with an animal. But if you've ever had a creature look into your soul without needing you to explain a thing, then you know what I mean when I say she changed me. Daisy didn't fix my life. She didn't make the stress go away. She didn't take away the weight entirely, but she helped me breathe through it. She taught me to pause. She taught me to notice myself. She gave me something I didn't even know I was missing. A safe place to fall apart and put myself back together quietly. And that's why that gentle touch on my face, the one that started all of this, will stay with me for the rest of my life. Because it wasn't just comfort. It was understanding. It was connection. It was love, in the purest form I've ever felt it. Thank you for staying with me through this story. I hope Daisy's gentle heart touched you the way she touched me. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might need a little warmth today. Your support means more than you know. Thank you for watching until the end, and may peace and light fill your days.